Hello, and welcome back to your midweek remedy with me, James Thacker. It's your energy giver, it's your little snippet out of the week to just chill out, relax, and try and switch off for a little bit. I hope you're all well. I am recording this on a Monday night after a lovely weekend, actually. It started off in Cambridge on Friday night. We had a game against Cambridge University with a couple hundred people there. Actually, it was quite busy. I didn't expect it to be so busy. I didn't realise students were still up there, but it definitely made their presence felt, and it was really nice to be back up there. The last time I played was about 7 years ago for Saracen Storm in what was a very, very memorable experience for me, playing alongside some of the guys that were floating around the first team at the time. And I suppose it was the reserve team at 18 years old, looking up to a lot of guys that were kind of already there in the first team professionally. So definitely had very fond memories of the place. It's a lovely ground, absolutely amazing pitch. It's always lovely to play on. So did enjoy that, and thankfully we came out 15-14 winners after a last minute kick from Dan Cole underneath the sticks. It was it was a tough game. I think, in all honesty, we probably should have had it wrapped up before then. I think some of our mistakes led to their fortune, and in the second half they scored two quick fire tries at around the 65-minute mark, but we hung in there and we won. So all good news. And now we have a 3-week break of off-season. I say off-season in inverted commas because it feels like you still have to keep ticking over. Otherwise, when you come back to pre-season, you'll be absolutely blowing. So it's definitely my intention to not stop, despite having a stag do at the end of June and various drinking opportunities. I do need to stay on top of that fitness. So to make sure that that we're coming back into pre-season in the best form possible. But yes, enjoyed the rugby. Did leave me feeling a bit battered though. I haven't played 70 minutes in about 15 months, I want to say. The fixtures that we've played already, I think we've had max half an hour each. This time it was a bit longer, and that 70 minutes has definitely taken its toll on me, let's say. So still feeling a little bit today as I was going into work. I do want to say before we get into the main topics of the remedy this week that just have a shout out to Reset Cryo. So I've been going to them now for about a year and a half to 2 years, and it's awesome. So Reset Cryo are based in Sawbridgeworth, which is a small town next to my own, which is Bishop Stortford. And if you can't get there, go to somewhere that does cryotherapy, because I promise you it does you a world of good. But Emma at Reset Cryo is always super friendly, talks you through it, and what happens when you go there. Cryotherapy, for those that don't know, is there to aid with recovery. And to be honest, I don't know the ins and outs of it completely. I don't know exactly what happens to your body, but I know under extreme cold, the rate of acceleration in recovery, your body speeds up. So I think you go in this chamber, and it's about, I think it's minus 90 degrees in there, which sounds pretty extreme, but I think cryotherapy chambers do go to quite a bit colder than that. So it's not even that bad. But I think the first experience I had was pretty shocking. And then after that, I kind of got used to it. But I spend 5 minutes in there. They give you a little headband to put some music in. And away you go, and kind of just shuffling to keep yourself warm under that extreme cold. But seriously, really great for recovery. I'd really recommend it. And also you get a fantastic night's sleep afterwards. So definitely, if you haven't been already, and it doesn't necessarily need to be just for sports people, it's for people suffering with anxiety, with sleep, insomnia, and things like that. Go check it out and do some research as to what the benefits of cryotherapy are, because I think there are numerous. But for me personally, as a sports person, the recovery side of things is invaluable, and it definitely helps me a lot. So yes, go check out your local cryotherapy physio, or I don't know what kind of facility you call it, but go check it out. You won't regret it. And another shout out I wanted to give just before I jump in is to my local bakery, Hellenic Bakeries. Beforehand, I was trying to discover what the best coffee in Bishop Stortford is, and they have it. So if you haven't been yet, Hellenic Bakery, I don't know the address, but they also do fantastic pastries and all of that, which obviously I can't have too much of these days, although they do like to throw a little free one in there if you visit regularly enough. So go check them out. I really do love them down there, and it does make me feel like I'm on holiday back in Turkey or Greece, because honestly, the things that they've got on display there, mouth-watering. Anyway, into the remedy. So one of the first thing that I wanted to say, or the topic, is vindication. If you haven't watched Brooklyn Nine-Nine, you won't get that reference. That's Raymond Holt going vindication. But Kyle Sinckler has been vindicated. He is on the Lions Tour to South Africa 2021. Now, I know that I got a little bit, not upset, but at the time I felt very, very, sorry for Kyle Sinckler. I thought, what more can he do to get on the tour? I thought he'd been massively hard done by there, and I'm so glad that he now has the opportunity to go. Unfortunately, that is in place of someone else who's gotten injured, which I think the guy's name is Andrew Porter. I can't imagine the feeling and what he must be going through at the moment to have been selected on a Lions tour and having to pull out because of injury. It's something that you can't control as a rugby player. And I'm sure that, people will be rallying around him, but for the minute it will be incredibly sore. And, I've missed out on selections through teams that I've wanted to get into through injury before. It's never nice to be injured, but especially on something so prestigious like a Lions tour. I can't imagine what he must be going through. The only silver lining is that I think he's still a young guy, and that it's most likely not going to be his last opportunity to go on a Lions tour. But thoughts are with him, because it's a horrible thing to go through. But I am very, very happy for Kyle Sinckler. And Warren Gatland, the rugby coach, said he really has, since the first announcement was made, been showing a two fingers up at Gatland for not selecting him, with fantastic performances and a really, really great attitude. And for me, that's something that's so inspiring to see. It's something that we can all take, that even in the face of adversity, if you knuckle down, if you keep persistent, if you keep consistent and keep at it and don't let your head drop, then good things can come. And when opportunities arise, then he was ready to take it. So he kept working away, he kept plugging away, he didn't let his head drop, he kept, the right mental attitude, he went to speak to the right people he needed to make sure he was present and in the right state of mind to finish the season strongly with his club, Bristol Bears. Through that, he's put in an amazing string of performances, and as a result has ended up getting on the Lions tour despite not first being selected. So I want to say massive congratulations to Kyle Sinckler. Go well. We're all behind you, and I'm very, very glad that you are finally on that playing good, sir. Well done. Good on you. And Warren Gatland, well done for seeing the light. So the second thing I wanted to talk about was another thing that was sporting related. Was over the weekend, Jon Rahm is a golfer who was playing at the Memorial Tournament over the weekend, and it was really disheartening to see, but he had to pull out because of COVID. And it's really bizarre to see, because you see the disease, and it affects people so differently. And it's amazing, because you wouldn't think at all that he had contracted COVID, because he was playing some unbelievable golf. He shot, I think he was leading actually at the time that he got told he tested positive for COVID. I think he'd followed all the regulations, everything that he needed to do, and you could just tell how distraught he was when he was told on the 18th, after he'd finished his third round, I think it was on the 18th green, that he tested positive, because he knew that his tournament was over. And you just feel so bad, because it really is ruthless, this illness. It takes no prisoners. And, especially when someone, in your sporting career, you have very seldom opportunities to win tournaments, let alone, you're leading and going into the last day of a golf tournament. And to then have to pull out due to something that you can't control, and something that has gripped us and affected us in some shape or form over the last 15 months, it's completely wrecked our existence to what we knew before, and we've had to adapt massively. It's caused pain and issues and deaths and just horrible, horrible things. And I think it it's come at a point where I think globally, especially in the West, we feel like we're nearly there, and we feel like I think a lot of people are taking it for granted now that we're not out of the woods yet. And I think this came as an example to me that this still can happen. And I know that they've been letting people back in onto golf courses. I don't know whether it's one of the spectators that's brought it in. You really don't know. There's no point in trying to guess, but you just saw his face drop, and it's so disappointing. I feel bad for him. But I think it serves as a reminder that this isn't over. And if we do become complacent, as I see in England, we very much are. I think people are taking such a relaxed view now. I see on Instagram stories that people are having mass gatherings at house parties now, in the pub. Even I'll tell you what. I'll tell you one story. I won't tell you which pub it was, but Austin, my good friend, and I, after the rugby game, we travelled down to Bishop Stortford, and we thought, okay, well, we'll just go for a couple of pints, talk about the game, decompress a little bit. And there was a guy in there running the bar, trying to seat people, and we said, "Oh, have you got any tables for two?" And you could tell this guy had already had a few drinks, being on shift, and I was kind of thinking, "Oh, here we go." And he said, "Right, so you've tried to book on not Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, but Friday, and you haven't booked, have you?" I was like, "No, sorry, just thought we'd chance our arm. It's no problem if not, but we see it's not particularly empty. It's not particularly busy in here. So, can we sit down?" And he said, "I don't know. I don't. I think we're looking to shut up." And we were kind of thinking that bloke's just order a pint. That and I thought, what's the issue here? This guy seemed like a bit of an idiot, to be honest. And he said, "How many drinks have you had?" "No drinks." It's like, "Oh, okay. Well, at first glance, I didn't actually like the look of you, but you seem all right. You haven't had a drink, so come in." And I thought, what a bellend. But anyway, I see this guy later on, serves a guy a pint, and then starts necking it. And I'm thinking, dude, wasn't wearing a mask. This guy, he has no idea where he's been. And I'm just thinking, what are you doing? Like, it felt like such bizarre behaviour given the times. I mean, it feels like people have given up, and I don't know whether it speaks to maybe the people are fatigued with having to adjust their behaviour the whole time, overthink about every single micro decision that you're making, every conversation, every interaction with a customer, every interaction with someone else. It all has this kind of I suppose pressure of it that you have to be mindful about COVID, and I can imagine that that's stretching the sinews of the minds of people in that industry. But at the same time, I'm thinking, stop acting up, mate. And he kept going. He started badgering people that were lining up to try and get in, shouting really loud, being antisocial. Anyway, I just think we need to stick with it because we aren't out of the woods yet. I mean, I think we are 2.5 weeks away from getting out. I don't know what that's going to look like. I was just really looking forward to us not having to wear masks anymore. Honestly, it just absolutely does my head in. I hate it more than anything. So the day that those are gone, I would just be such a relieved man. Some people say that they won't be gone fully, which really scares me because having to go for shops in a mask, like big grocery shops, and just amongst people, and having to be wary and having to, especially as a larger individual, and having to tiptoe around people, making sure I'm not 2 meters, 1 meter away from people, and it's it's no fun. But there you go. And I suppose the last thing I wanted to talk about today was something that I've noticed recently, and is amongst some of the, I suppose, younger content creators that I follow on podcasts, on YouTube, and just multimedia. Really, I've seen it on Instagram, I've seen it on socials. Is lots of people promoting trading platforms, whether that be through digital currency or through stocks and shares. Now, this is something I've got a massive issue with because this is completely unregulated, and I don't think that these kind of things should be being advertised by people who don't have proper qualifications in these areas. Now, you could make that argument for a lot of areas of life where people, they'll promote something without necessarily knowing all about it, but because it's a good brand deal and all the rest of it, they have to, if you put your name something, at the end of the day, you are accountable to a degree. But this one for me carries an extra bit of risk, because if you think about someone who's like a late teenager who's maybe saved up a little bit of money, they're saving towards their first car. Someone that's working hard to get pocket money. You think in like later stages of teens, even into the students. I know students are really stupid. I can speak from first-hand experience with student loans. People gamble it away. I've seen people getting into £2,500 of overdraft on online gambling, of just losing it all on the roulette wheel, which for me is absolutely crazy. But that shows you how young people don't make smart decisions with their money, and especially at an early age. And I just think at a time where people are very, very impressionable, you shouldn't be giving the advice to go and start trading where you haven't had you have the potential to be misinformed. And I know that there are these sites now like eToro where you can copy traders who are, experienced in the game. I would have no idea how you check that. But for me, to advertise something that puts your capital massively at risk is something that is incredibly dangerous. And it's something that I wholeheartedly disagree with, because lots of young kids and teenagers will look to these influential figures and take their word as gospel, as much as they shouldn't do, and as much as there may be the advice that you can't just believe what you hear. Some people will look up to these guys so much, these content creators, these influencers, so much that they'll just take their word for gospel and they'll go for it. And in the process, not only the money that you put in can it decrease in value, that you can end up owing money in some cases. Whole savings can be ruined in an instant. And for me, that is incredibly risky. And it's just something that it really irks me, to be honest. I just don't know how that goes unregulated, and how that continues to be allowed to be happening now. I know that there's been a massive trend of digital currency, people just creating ridiculous currencies that mean nothing. They hold no value, no intrinsic value. All the digital currency markets. I actually inquired about it recently to see whether it would be something that was worth putting my money into. Now, if you've seen the recent drop in Bitcoin after the Elon Musk announcement that Tesla won't be accepting it as a form of currency, then you'll know how volatile it is, and with absolutely no regulation on it at all. So there's no caps in terms of how much losses you can make. There's no regulation authority that you can go to should there be any jiggery pokery going on in the markets. There's massive abilities to market manipulate, and people will say, "Oh, just go and promote." And I've seen it. I've seen cases where people will create a currency and then they'll pay influencers to go and push the currency, say go buy it, to inflate the value. And then you just know, as soon as it reaches a certain point and they think, okay, that's probably about as high as it can go, these influencers, the people that are creating the coin, take all the money out, and that will send the value absolutely crashing. But that doesn't leave them worse off. It leaves the people who have been duped into thinking that that's a good idea worse off. And I just think we're entering a very, very dangerous time here, where if you don't do your research, if you believe what you're hearing over Instagram, and it's just so much information, there's floods and floods and floods of information. It's like mass saturation of the market in terms of things that are being advertised to us all the time. And if you don't kind of filter that and be very, very aware of the things that you're consuming, I just fear that, especially the younger generation could fall folly of falling into these traps. So there's my 2p for the week. I hope that was of interest to you. I will link Reset Cryo and Hellenic Bakery down in the below in the description, whatever you call it. I don't bloody know. I'm too tired for this. But I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you cheer the guys on this summer. I think we've got a hell of a lot of sport going on. We've got the Euros, we've got the Olympics, we've got Lions. I don't even know if the Olympics is happening actually, but honestly, there's so much going on. But cheer the guys on. I think it's time to get excited. I think we're very, very close to the end, although not there yet, like I said. So make sure that we're all looking after each other, making sure that we're doing the right things, looking after yourself, making sure you're taking that time to, take some time for yourself. I was speaking to one of my colleagues earlier, and I think the social demands and pressures on us at the moment are so high. Especially as things start to open up, I think we can have an over tendency to overbook ourselves, and spread ourselves too thin with social engagements, especially after work. And in my line of work, in lots of people's lines of work, since COVID's begun and since lockdown's begun, the workload has increased because people know exactly where you are. You're sat at your desk. You're not traveling about. You don't have a commute anymore. People know exactly where to get you 24/7. And so if you don't have a break during your work time, if you don't give yourself that rest period or that time for yourself, and you stretch yourself too thin after work in your social life, then you will see burnout. So make sure you're looking after yourself. And that's it. That's it. I hope that's been a little bit of respite and of intrigue to you all. I love you all. Have a fantastic rest of the week. I will see you soon. I had a little bit of writer's block with my podcast this weekend. I'm trying to get out of it desperately, but we'll be back soon. I'm just going to keep the midweek remedies going because they are fun and they're just a little snippet out of the week. And they're a chance for me to just chat waffle. One of my favourite hobbies. There you go. Have a great week, everyone. I'll speak to you soon. Bye-bye now.